This week on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast, I'm talking about gold. Is it a smart hedge or a bad investment? Now, today I'm talking about if I were to buy gold, if I were to recommend gold, here are some things that I would do if I was going to buy gold. Now, I'm not going to buy gold unless my husband buys me some gold jewelry, but I don't think that's on the immediate time horizon. So one of the things I want to mention first of all, because I don't want you to be confused about gold's purpose in your investment portfolio, is that if you are looking to maximize long-term returns, then gold tends to be a drag on the portfolio. I mentioned this earlier in the week. It can be pretty volatile, but during times when stocks are going down like they are in 2025, the world is a scary place. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. Gold has done very, very well. So if you're looking to reduce volatility in your portfolio when tough times hit, then gold has a place in the portfolio. It's just that most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, even though the world is a scary place, that's not being reflected in the economy, in the markets. The markets generally tend to go up over time, and you have these shorter and periodic times where gold prices do well, but generally gold prices, not worth it, in my opinion, to invest in if you are trying to maximize long-term returns. There are other ways to provide a hedge in your portfolio, simply investing in bonds, which provide income. Gold doesn't, so keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm dogging on it again. That wasn't my intention today. So if you're concerned about protecting your portfolio, especially on the downside, and you aren't as concerned about getting the absolute best return possible, then I think some gold in your portfolio can make sense. Now, if you want to own some gold, then I wouldn't actually be rushing in to buy now. Gold is at its all-time high. It's pretty close to it as I record this podcast. We are in peak uncertainty right now. Will things get worse from here in the economy and markets? They could, but gold does best when times are uncertain and when things get worse. So gold could continue to go higher from here if things deteriorate more in the economy, if we go into a recession, etc. It's certainly possible, but I don't know that I would be rushing in to buy it now. If you're looking to sell gold, like you have some gold jewelry, maybe you own some gold coins, I would be running, not walking to do that. Truthfully, yes, that's the opportunity in gold, is sell some of your gold while it's at an all-time high, especially if it's just sitting around doing nothing. You don't wear it. If you have jewelry, you can get a pretty good price for it right now if you have good quality jewelry and they just pay you to melt it down and reuse it. When gold is sitting at an all-time high like it is, it had a huge run up in the last several months, but also over the last couple of years. I don't think now's the time to be piling in. Because I've said earlier in this week, if you look at a historical chart of gold, before you ever invest meaningfully in gold, go look at a historical price chart. Identify periods of time, and they're easy to find, where gold goes absolutely nowhere or it has a lot of volatility without really any forward progress. And that can happen for years and years and years on end. And that's not tolerable, in my opinion. You shouldn't be investing in things where the likelihood is, not just the chance, but the likelihood is that you could be investing in that for many, many years and make no progress whatsoever. And it's just a drag on your portfolio, like I said. So maybe there'd be a pullback, a decent entry point. If things continue to get worse in the economy, that could very well be now. I just don't like the idea of investing in something as volatile as gold at its all-time high. But as long as uncertainty remains, you should see gold continue to provide perhaps some decent returns, or at the very least, some stability. So as far as the how to buy gold, unless you're buying jewelry that will actually get worn and have some utility, I really do not like the idea of buying physical coins or physical gold bars. I do love that Costco sells random stuff, and the fact that they sell a 1-ounce gold bar, I might actually buy one of those one day because it's just a cool thing. But the problem with physical gold is that you have to store it somewhere. That usually costs money because it's not a good idea to store it at a safe at home. And certainly don't be telling people that you're buying gold if you're storing it at home, because if you go on vacation, it's like, oh, interesting. Look at that. My house got broken into and they accessed my safe and they stole all my gold. So you want to be very careful about that. Obviously, if you're going to store it at home, if you're going to store it at a safe deposit box. There are specific places where you can store your gold, obviously for a pretty penny. And if you own a very small amount of gold, I think you could store it at home. But you need to protect your investment. And so home storage isn't ideal if you are going to own a meaningful amount of your assets in gold. And by meaningful, I mean gold can serve a purpose if it makes up somewhere between 0, which is totally fine. I own 0% gold, but gold, if it's up to 5%, I've seen lots of people own, 10, 15, 20% of their net worth is in gold. And I think that's excessive. So depending on how much you own and the value of it, you want to be careful about how you store it. It also requires maintenance and insurance and is generally just a headache, especially if you're going to have a meaningful amount of your portfolio in gold. Now, some people argue that gold is important to have on hand in case of Armageddon, but I've actually never understood that argument. If you think about it, a gallon of water and a loaded gun and some food, that is going to be way more valuable because they're actually useful in a true emergency situation. Gold, who cares at that point? What utility does gold have in a true emergency scenario? I would much rather have some food, some water, some protection, you know what I'm saying, than walk around looking like Mr. T in the zombie apocalypse. Is just not worth it. I never understood that argument. And please, could somebody explain it, because it doesn't make any sense. You're not going to need gold in the zombie apocalypse. Now, if I were to invest in gold, the only way that I would be doing it is by index funds, ETFs, mutual funds. They very accurately track the price of gold. So if you're going to dip your toe in the water, you don't already own a bunch of gold coins or bars, but you're interested in owning gold, I would start there. It's a very simple, easy way. You don't need a bunch of money to get started. There's no storage fees. There's no insurance. There's no headaches. None of that BS. You could allocate a small portion of your portfolio, maybe 1 to 2%. And depending on how you like investing in gold, you could add to it over time. Again, I wouldn't put more than about 5% in gold. And again, 0, I'm completely fine with 0% as well. And I'm still not actively recommending it to clients. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Michike, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.